Hello everyone and welcome to Schooled, our monthly update from the Beautiful Plains School Division. My guests today are two of the trustees of the school division. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would just like you to sort of introduce yourself and tell me what drew you to working with the school board.
My name is Kathleen Guillas. I live in the Eden district, and what drew me to the school board is I've always been involved in education. I have a unique perspective because I've worked as a substitute teacher, an educational assistant, and also a school teacher for many years. So it's just something that I've always been a passion.
I'm Richard Mans. I'm from the Carberry area. I wanted to be part of my kids' education as they were growing up, and I'm not from this country originally, so coaching basketball or anything like that was pretty foreign to me. So and I thought I could make a difference, and so that's why I ran for the position.
Right. And so between Eden and Carberry, we've got about an hour of driving time. So sort of what is the size of the division? What is the scope of the division?
So we're 14 schools, and we're spread. There's Carberry, Neepawa, and then Brookdale and Eden, and then there's colony schools. So we go north to Riding Mountain, south to Spruce Woods Park, and then we go west to Franklin and east almost to sort of Plumas type area. We 2,250 kids. We've got close to 300 staff now in the division. We run 22 bus routes on a regular basis every day, doing about 3,000 kilometres a day, bringing the kids to and from school. Yep. And then there's also roughly around 500 extracurricular trips that we run in a year as well, on top of the day-to-day.
Which is an immense
buses.
Number, especially when you consider that we are a rural area and we're talking about rural snow-covered roads from time to time.
Yeah,
that's right.
Huge. Yeah,
that's right.
And realistically, we should have 23 routes right now, but staffing shortages. It's really difficult to find bus drivers right now, so we're one short. So it's a challenge. It leaves us,
I think staffing is probably one of the bigger challenges right now of the school board.
Yeah.
So let's start right at the beginning. Fundamentally, what is a school board? What does a school board do?
A school board is an elected body that's responsible for the delivery and planning of educational services within a division. The education is under the provincial government, and there's a Public Schools Act that we follow. But after that, we are our own lawmaking group. We make policies for our individual division, and that's it's a big responsibility because education is one of the foundations of democracy. So it's kind of, and you're in charge of the most vulnerable people in your community as well. And that's one of the reasons why we fought so hard when a few years ago when they were deciding on doing just a provincial framework. And we wanted to make sure that we kept our local autonomy. Because what our school division looks like is so much different than another school division, and we wanted to make sure that our needs were met in our own community, and our policies and stuff are pertain to our students and not blanket ones.
Exactly, because certainly our school division will look very different even from one that is adjacent to it.
That's right.
As far as the demographics, the size, the needs of the community. Yeah,
and the busing or whatever it is, our needs are different. And so, but we do follow the Public Schools Act, which is mandated, but within that we can make our own policies. So that's one big job that the school division has, is making policies. It's policies that are not necessarily punitive, but it's guidelines or things that the senior admin and the administration can use as their tools or what they put into practice. It's a help for them.
So what sort of policies are we talking about here?
Well, say for example, Public Schools Act talked about accessibility and making sure that the schools were accessible. Right. So we took a look at our schools and what we needed to do, and then made our accessibility policies in amongst that. What are some of the other policies?
Transportation is a huge one.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge. And then,
So when you're talking about transportation, it's, sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense as to where we drop off and where we pick up, for example, but it's what has to happen for the whole division. So yeah, it would make more sense for so-and-so to be dropped off at this time, but then that means somebody else on the bus route has to get up at 7 or has to get on the bus at 7, and that's not fair. So it's the fairness for all.
There's probably huge logistical challenges around that, just
Yeah.
with the regular bus routes, never mind special trips.
Yeah, and we make policies in regards to extracurricular and trips and things like that, and how you have to log in what you're doing and where you're going, and so we know where the kids are eating, or their itinerary and whatnot, and whether it's educational or not.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things are decisions that we make. We also are in charge of the budget. We get a certain amount of money from the government. There's 3 ways you can get money from the government. One is a base fund, depending on how many kids you have. And the other one is special needs groups. So you get some money for special needs groups as well if you have them in your community.
Okay.
And then you can get what's called an equalization grant if you maybe are a northern community, or maybe if you're a declining enrollment community, those kinds of things. So there's those 3 funding ways of getting money from the government.
Yeah.
And within that, it's a large amount of money that you get that you have to decide on where the money goes and in your community. It has to be done publicly. That's the same with policies. Policies have to be set at a public meeting, the same with your budget. Has to be set at a public meeting, has to be transparent, has to be accountable. We do have public forums before we set the budget to get people's opinions and whatnot. And traditionally in Beautiful Plains, we've always tried to put the money in front of the kids, right? Yeah. So sometimes you think, gee, why is this washroom maybe not up to snuff with another school? We've been to this school and it's got this beautiful washroom, but we've opted to put the money in front of the kids. So we've opted more for staffing and more for student needs than perhaps your physical space in a way.
Because there is a finite amount of money that is available.
That's right. Yeah. And you have to decide on where that money goes and how to use it. Yeah. And the other thing that the school board is, as far as a job, is we are a liaison between the community and our educational system, right? So we get some information from the public, but we also give them information, which is what we're doing today.
Exactly.
And we do articles that we pay for in the paper, and then we have a website and newsletters and Twitter and things like that. So we try to disseminate the information out there so that it's factual. Yeah. And why and try to in some way why we do what we do.
And as we said, it is a geographically kind of a broad division. So when you're talking about your budget, I imagine you're talking about, how to allocate it among these various areas as well.
Right. We have student-teacher ratios. So certain schools will have different ratios to other ones. Yeah. So you have to do the staffing according to that. And like I said, there's special needs people or special interest groups that get different government grants as well.
Okay. Now how many trustees are there on the school board?
There's 7.
Okay.
So our regular board meeting, there's the 7 trustees, and then our senior admin team, which consists of the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and the secretary treasurer. Okay. So that's how our meetings are run, and every first and third Tuesday of every month.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
And we also have a representative from the Teachers Association.
That comes for the regular portion.
And are these open meetings to the public? Or are they?
There is an in-camera portion in the beginning, but the rest of it is
public. Okay.
And the in-camera part is mostly to protect people's identity. Sometimes in the minutes or when we make the motions, it doesn't say names, and that's
right. That's just with a town council meeting. There's certain things that are just for privacy reasons. Yep. Now, are the trustees specific to a region, or is it from anywhere in the division?
So there's 4 trustees from the Neepawa area and 3 from the Carberry area, and that's based on student population within the division. So yes, and there's wards. Each area is split up into wards. because I'm rural, I'm just outside Carberry.
Right.
So I'm in a separate ward to what, say, one of our trustees from in the town of Carberry's in.
Yeah.
And I'm in a northern ward.
Right.
Because
So it is
I'm
divided
from
into
north.
wards
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
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 Just again, like a municipal council would be. I guess some of them have gone to the model of having them from anywhere, and some of them are still on the ward system. So we are still on the.
Yeah, although it's interesting that you never notice what ward we're from, or
No,
what
that's-
we don't.
yeah.
We represent all of the area. You know, I often think of that when I'm driving down the street in Ypres, or going someplace, or you're watching the Christmas parade. Those are my kids.
Yeah.
You know, somebody said something to me about how many kids do you have, or how many grandkids you had. 2,220. Because that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you feel.
And I think that's the beauty around the board table is the conversation's never about location. It's always about focus on the students and what's best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every policy we make, every decision we make, it always, the very first question that Richard, because he's the chairperson, says,
Yeah.
what's in the best interest of our kids? And so that, and it's all the kids. It's not just, you know, your certain group. It's everybody.
So given that, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've had coming at you from the division?
You know, I would think one of the biggest ones is space for us. We've tried, since I was on the board, which I came on in 2011, we've talked a lot about our growth. And we've been able to manage it. But it's getting to the point where it's getting to be, we need another school.
Yeah.
And it's how to manage it until we do. We were saying earlier that we've asked for 7 portables for next year. It's just even where to put the portables.
Right.
You know, that's the thing, and it comes with a lot of challenge. And change is hard. Change is hard for us. Change is hard for our students. Change is hard for our community, and so we have to mitigate that. So that's one of our biggest challenges. And the other one is money. You know, we're having a bit of a problem right now because the government is number one, hasn't allowed us to locally tax, which is what it is. So we're not able to tax, but also it's, you know, whether we're going to get these resources that we need.
Right.
You know.
And staffing's huge. You know, as the schools grow like they do, we've got to keep up with staffing as well. And the money doesn't, like Kathleen said, the money doesn't increase. We're not able to increase the size of the administration side of the division. We want to focus on keeping that money in the classroom as much as we can.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult.
And it's really hard on our senior administration because we have not increased our senior admin because we've put those resources in front of the kids.
Yeah.
And so you've got our senior admin who's the same as when they were managing a division half that size.
Yeah, and literally half that size.
Literally
or less.
half that size. Same with our techs, same with our transportation, same with our maintenance department. They're all the same as when it was half the size.
Yeah. And I've had the opportunity to talk to Superintendent Jason Young, and he says it's a constant cycle of hiring as far as teachers go, just because of the growth.
Yeah. And with that comes, you know, I mean, sick leaves and all those kinds of things, which just happens. But
and with a younger population, you have your maternity leaves, and you have lots of things like that as well. I hear.
Yeah.
What else? Even the change in government and what's that, you know, because we had a plan and a path. And now everything's kind of on hold again, and we've still got to move forwards, but we're moving forwards with even more uncertainty at the minute until, you know, some decisions are made and we can start planning again.
Right. So that kind of puts a pause on everything you've been working on.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing the government has done is they have taken. I'm not criticizing the government, but I'm just saying another layer is that they've taken the bargaining with our local schools, teachers to provincial bargaining. And I don't think that they realized when they did that, the scope that they had, because now they've decided that they're not going to make an agreement, they said, till 2025 to the teachers. Well, that leaves that's fine because the teachers are in a union. Yeah. But with all of our other staff, that leaves a long time. So we're trying to now work through something to negotiate or make a plan for our non-teaching staff,
Right.
and what that looks like, and how it moves forward for them. And the sooner the better, because they've been without. We usually settle with the teachers, and then we give the non-teaching staff the same
Right.
increase, whether it's 2% or whatever. But now we don't know what the teachers are going to get.
So that's, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I still think that you need to pay your staff
Absolutely. Yeah.
that they can't wait forever. So that's another issue we're having right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the growth in the division, a lot of that is coming from Neepawa itself, the growth. But as far as I can tell, every school is seeing growth in the division.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Carberry's growing,
yeah. Oh yes.
and the small schools are
absolutely.
growing.
Yeah.
And COVID, COVID, a lot of people chose to maybe go back to homeschool
Yeah.
through COVID, and for good reasons, for their reasons, and now we're through all of that, and everybody's comfortable. And our buildings, I went around all the schools yesterday, and it's just the atmosphere is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. I was trying to compare. You go into an airport and people are going here, there, and everywhere, and it's just confusion. Some people know what they're doing, but in the schools, it's just everybody is they know that they're happy, that there's a purpose, and that they run, and that I think hopefully we have such a community in the schools. I think there's our leadership there's no top-down style. It's everybody contributes, and the team. It's a phenomenal team that we have right across the division, and that's bringing. I believe that's what's bringing everybody. Keeping them in the schools and bringing everybody back. And
Because in a lot of areas they're seeing a decline in the rural schools, and here we saw a decline for a long time, and then we had this upswing pretty much everywhere. Colony schools included.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that people are coming back home.
Yeah.
To work because we've got opportunities to work in construction, to work in the trades, to work in the hospitals, because we've got those jobs here. So it's not just a one-trick pony as far as the hog plant.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of other industries and a lot of auxiliary industries, and people are coming back home to work.
Yeah.
So and they're choosing to move back to their rural community.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, I think.
And there are a lot of amenities in the area now that you don't really have to be somewhere else to enjoy that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think education is one of the systems. People talk about systems being broken all the time, but I think for us anyway, what we see is that education is one of the systems that is not broken.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it limps, but for the most part, it's not broken.
Yeah.
The province sets the curriculum that is taught in the schools, but we have a little bit of local autonomy still through the division that we can bring in extras if we think the local community, if there's a need for it, like with the apprenticeship program that we have, and then we have a lot of mental health supports and things like that we can do, but that's feedback from our schools as a need, and that's, I think that's another reason why the local school divisions are so important, because we can do that and support, not only support the kids but support the communities in the long run moving forwards too. So, and
you can be very responsive if something happens in your area that's going to have an impact on the schools. You can be very responsive to that, as I think we've seen in the past year.
Yes. Yep. It's not that you're getting your direction from Broadway Street.
Exactly.
You're on the boots on the ground right away if there's something happening.
And you live in the community. You know the community and the challenges that it faces as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's we don't. It's not like we can go and garnish extra funding for those sorts of things either. We have to make the decisions within our budget. Yeah. So it's another tough.
But it's been a really good program, the vocational schools program, which we decided to put in, and it's been I don't know how many graduated last year with their vocational.
Like the apprenticeships have just been. I've heard nothing but glowing reviews of
the
apprenticeship program.
And that's what's also triggered the fact that we could maybe get a high school with a vocational
Yeah.
aspect. It's going to be an academic high school. It's not
Yeah.
just a vocational school, but we because we have the apprenticeship program and it's running so well here, I think they really
It
looked at the
leads very
vocational.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So, 4 years ago we saw the opening of the middle school? Is that
2019. Yep.
2019, yeah. COVID years are a little blurry,
Yeah.
but 4 years ago we saw that the first new school for ages, and now we're getting another new school.
Yeah.
Just recently announced the location of that school. So, sort of, what is the school board involvement in getting those schools here and choosing where they go and getting them, to meet the needs of the community?
Well, we usually have to send a capital purchase plan or something to the division, to the government. Probably 10, like a long range plan, probably 10, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we give them, praise them with the numbers, give them projected numbers, give them where it's
Yeah.
going and whatnot, those kinds of things. So we do that. And like they had the property tour, so yesterday, and from the property tours, they get some things that also need to be done to our existing schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways to do it.
And the superintendent has done a phenomenal amount of work, and then on numbers and projected numbers, and working with High Life and everybody to try and, because if you want something, you can always elevate numbers to make it look like there's a need, but that doesn't earn you any type of credibility or any kind of respect within the city of Winnipeg, and so Jason's done a phenomenal amount of work to make sure that the information that he provides to the government is real, and I think that's why the school opened as it did in 2019, because originally I think it was only scheduled for 6 classrooms and no ancillary space whatsoever. And you see what NMS is today. It's phenomenal.
And it's full. I mean, the school division is pretty much at capacity again.
Yeah. So with this new space, again, the work was done. And it's funny, Jason mentioned to me the other day, we were walking just when NMS was coming through to completion, just before it was completion. We went for a walk through, and I mean, it was just, we were in awe. But I said to Jason, so what's next? Because we knew it was already going to be full. And so we need a vocational school. That was the dream, the next dream.
Yeah.
And so it's okay, so what do we do to make it reality? And, lots of time spent talking to Eileen Clark as well.
Yeah.
And she was Minister in Northern Affairs then, I think.
Right.
And
Municipal Affairs at one point too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and she was a phenomenal sounding board, and she took, she got Jason a platform with the right people to start sowing the seeds of what what the future needs of our community.
And it bore fruit. It was early this year when they announced that that school would be coming.
Because we started talking about a new high school in 2018.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a knee-jerk reaction we've been having, although it looks like it's maybe that way because we just got it announced.
Yeah.
But we've been working on
it's a long process that happens very suddenly.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
And we're just not 100% sure. I think everything is kind of with the new government. I think everything is sort of paused.
Timelines are a little shaken up, I think.
And we're not 100% sure what's happening. We do have a space now.
Yeah. And so that space is to the east of town, in the general area where the new hospital is going in as well.
Yeah.
Was that sort of the best space that was available, or were there reasons behind that?
We looked at a lot of spaces. I think at one point we had 7 on our table to look at. We narrowed them down to 3.
Yep.
And basically that one came to the forefront because of the services, because the hospital was already going in, there was a lot of infrastructure being put into that area.
Right.
So we wouldn't have to invent the wheel again. And we would have Hydro there because Hydro had to put their services there.
Yep.
And the same with their sewer and water. So.
Yep.
So.
And with it being a vocational, or hopefully a vocational school as well, we needed room to grow.
There's additional spaces that are required.
And it's not just school buses running in. Like when you've got mechanical shops running or electrical shops running, the supplies that need to come into those places, it's of a different entity to a regular school space. So we wanted to make sure that could happen without affecting anything.
Right.
So.
And as a vocational program, then, are the decisions about what vocational programs are running within the scope of the school division?
Yes, it's our decisions to
Okay.
what ones we run, and we're kind of looking at the ones that we're going to run. Are ones we're looking at are ones that will take a lot of space or take a lot of infrastructure because the government will pay for that, right?
Yeah.
Where we could add daycare, we can add something else later to our school space on our own, but
Right.
to put in a big shop to run heavy duty equipment, we don't want to add that later.
No, you want that on the ground level.
Yep.
Yeah.
When that
So
goes
when
in.
when we made our when we're looking at options, we're looking at the ones that service our need.
Yeah.
Don't get
There's
me
certainly a
wrong.
demand for that.
Yeah, but also ones that will be big cost items if we had to add them later. So,
Right.
Yeah.
so we're looking at large mechanical ones and
Electrical.
a big electrical one.
Yeah.
And the idea
There
is that so you can be taking your academic stream, going
Yeah.
but maybe taking an electrical course so that you know how to run your home,
Yeah.
your own, right? It's not a stream of just vocational students. You can mix and match.
And those are jobs that are in demand. Those
Yeah, they are.
in the vocational stream there.
Yeah.
And it's important for the regular person to know how to maybe change their oil or fix something
I
in
would
their
have
house.
loved to have done that in school. So
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's, to have those options in your high school, I think, is amazing.
Yeah.
And hopefully, maybe down the road there'll be a partnership with the healthcare
Right.
system
That's certainly
too,
going to be in
because they're
demand as
going to
well.
they're going to be running those courses out of the old police station.
Yeah,
is
that's
it?
right. Yeah.
So hopefully we hope down the road that maybe we can have some
Yeah.
kind of it, and so that'll bring another piece into it. And I can't remember off what the other ones that they're on my
And I
list.
know
There-
it's
there was
certainly
a-
up in the air right now.
There was a
Yeah.
culinary arts one we looked at
that
too.
was, yeah,
yeah.
that was right. Yeah.
that
so-
wasn't clear.
Um,
So believe it or
Welding.
not, we're actually running short on time. So are there any final thoughts that you want to make sure that you leave people with?
Well, I think one of the things that I would like to say just quickly is that, people talk about school boards being leaders, but really it's about service. We are here to serve the community. We have trust right in our name as our job description. We are entrusted, we've been elected to trust, that they've trusted us to look after the most vulnerable people in our community. So it's a job that we take very seriously. And there's when you join the school board, it's no I anymore. It's just we.
Yeah.
It's what's best for our kids, our community, and that's the kind of the message I would like to be left with. So.
I don't know if I can top that. No, same. I echo what Kathleen said. It's been a phenomenal journey, and to be part of, like Kathleen said, a group that looks at the division as a we, not as an I or a want. It's very special, and yeah.
And regardless of our personal views. It's what's best for all of our kids, from the littlest ones to the biggest ones, to the different ones, to the different cultures, to whatever. It's what's best for them all. And not just their safety, but also their academic needs.
That's great. Thank you both for joining me today. I've really enjoyed having you here. I've learned a lot about that. Thank all of you for joining us as well, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.